In software, I think they talk about like front end, back end. Front end is basically like the way things look. Back end is effectively like how things function, how the nuts and bolts of the software actually work. I think about RevOps and sales similarly. I think that salespeople and the content and the sales process are the front end, and RevOps is the absolutely mission critical code that supports the back end. And I don't think that as a salesperson early in my career, I realized it. I show up and I'm like, hey, where are my leads? Like, oh gosh, I have to change these lead stages. Oh, what a friction point in my sales process. Darn. Oh, look, I closed a deal, hit the gong, hooray. But little did I know that my activity was purely the very tip of a very deep iceberg. And revenue operations is that 90% of the iceberg that you just don't see beneath the surface. Last fall, we launched a very, very large scale partnership where we were intaking upwards of 20,000 unique accounts that we were responsible for working. Those accounts had a ton of data associated with them, anything that ranged from geography to their revenue to their media spend across different platforms historically. And all of this data needed to be intaked, it needed to be assigned, it needed to have stages and fields built custom inside of an Outreach IO instance. It needed to then be equitably round robined amongst a sales team of 26 people. We had to ensure that there was no inconsistency in duplicates of those records. We then had to build sequences to make sure that all of the variable fields in those sequences were pulling from the right data point. And that lift was one of the most harrowing experiences I ever had as a salesperson turned marketer / executive, is having partners on the RevOps side from our VP of Ops and the team that she supports, and getting to see in the weeds just how difficult doing that type of complex data work inside of a CRM just to make data workable and available for a salesperson who can probably show up and complain about it in some way, shape, or form, because that's what I would have done, is bananas to me. And then not only was that data critical to get set up, but it only takes one day of selling before you have 26 salespeople who identify 14 different points of leakage or friction. Like, well, this isn't working, or, oh, so-and-so worked my account and it's assigned to me, but they had the contact and that contact is getting worked by somebody else. There is an infinite amount of challenges that can arise with keeping data hygiene clean and moving inside of the infrastructure of a CRM. And without revenue operations, none of that ever happens.